I'm joined today by nine-time Grammy Award winner and recent Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Sheryl Crow. Her new album Evolution comes out on March 29th, and it's great to see you. Thank you for hanging out with us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Nick. It's great to be here.
So you won't remember this, I'm sure, but we very briefly met when you were doing the early promo for Tuesday Night Music Club, and you came into the first radio station that I was working at, WDST in Woodstock, New York. I was doing the
Oh,
morning show. I got off the air, and you came in to do an interview and play an acoustic song or two with the midday host. And you literally just walked in. We said hi, and I went about my day, and you went in and did the session. And I remember being jealous that you were on the next show and not mine. So
oh,
here we are, a half a life later, and I'm so happy
good.
to speak with you.
Thank you. I remember that little station. That's so funny.
Yeah, and then you ended up
Yeah, it's we're still doing it, Nick, aren't we? We're still going.
yeah, still going. I don't think you're driving around like going into every radio station in the country anymore, though.
I am not doing that, no. And of course, it's really funny. I wondered if people even do it anymore at all because of the way it is now. It's everything's so technology and streaming. And so it's really fun to actually get to talk to radio folks. I've run across quite a few that are still doing it. In fact, I just spoke with someone earlier today on KBCO, and we went there, 33 years ago. So it's nice. I'm happy and I'm proud that I have this past that I have.
I always say if you stick around long enough and you can make it through the weird stuff that happens when, people first
Mhm.
get money and fame,
Yeah,
it just gets better. And the people that you come in contact with again, who've also sort of made it through. I mean,
yeah.
Evolution is the title of your album. I mean, that's really what it's all about, isn't it?
It's so, I wrote the song about AI, but it's much bigger and broader for me, the idea of evolution, because this has been a big year, obviously, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and stuff, but I'm still writing and I'm still evolving. I mean, I feel like the work I'm doing now is more powerful and more succinct than when I got started 37 years ago, or actually longer than that. Um, it's all evolution, right? I mean, we're constantly evolving. We're all works in progress. And I think that's really sort of the thread that runs through this album.
Well, we hopefully all evolve as the world changes around us, whether it's, deeper personal understandings or cultural and societal observations. Do you feel that as a songwriter, it's your job to reflect that? And can you tell us how your songwriting has evolved and some of the inspirations for the songs on the new album?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if what I do is a job. I mean, I feel like typically, I mean, all the way back to cavemen, hieroglyphics were sort of what documented who we were at each moment in our civilization. And I guess if you looked at the art being made now, you could also assess who we are as a people. And for me, because I grew up listening to songwriters who were documenting what was going on at the time, from Marvin Gaye and Bob Dylan to Buffalo Springfield, and those songs that they were writing were actually getting popular airplay. It's part of my vernacular. So I write songs that are kind of pop songs, but they are songs that I feel like touch on at least what's in my consciousness, which I can't be the only one worrying or thinking um, about these things by myself. I know that there are other people that are concerned about AI. There are other people who are also going through this part of their lives where they are doing a lot of reflecting and a lot of soul searching and a lot of digging. So for me, I just keep writing, and if it reaches people who need to hear it, then that's part of the I guess the mystery of how art works.
Your last album came out in 2019, I think, and you said that at the time it was for you, the last full-length album that you were going to do.
Yes.
What drove that decision? Was it technology and the changes in the industry? And what has changed for you in the 5, 6 years in between,
Yeah.
that led you to actually doing another album?
Well, I do feel like that. I feel the same about record making, as an album lover, as a producer, as a person who grew up with albums. I feel like that tradition of a beginning and a middle and an end is sort of rendered obsolete by virtue of the fact that nobody listens to albums anymore like that, unless you're a huge vinyl collector. But for the most part, it's picked apart and put on playlists and that kind of thing. So making an album felt counterintuitive to what I love and what I do. Not to say that I wouldn't continue to write music, which is what I always said I would do. But it was weird. At this moment in time, I had a whole handful of songs. And I called a friend of mine who's a great producer who I've known forever, and he's a great guy, and said, would you produce tracks on these? Because I don't want to produce them. I don't want the time or the energy or the emotion that goes into doing it. And also, I don't want to hear what I do. I want somebody to blow my mind. And that's what Mike Elizondo did. I mean, he literally took my guitar vocal demos or my piano vocal and built around that. And I got to walk in and watch incredible movies around what I'd written. And it was total straight up joy for me.
You mentioned in the promo stuff around the album that you talk
Mhm.
about the emotional toll that goes into producing.
Yeah.
Can you
Because I mean, if you're someone like me who, the standard is the greatest albums in the world, right? That's what I grew up with. And also, excuse me, if you're the person who's guiding the ship, but you're also the artist, there's all kinds of machinations that go into that. Keeping the sessions going, also having a direction when not necessarily do you know what that is. Creating the sonics. Every album I've made has had some sonic twist on it that was different than the last by virtue of the fact that, as a person, you're always changing. And so it can be joyful, and it can be mysterious and very inspired, and it can also be work. And I wouldn't say that the inspired part is bigger than the work. I'd say that the work is really, it becomes, in the 11th hour, it becomes very overwhelming, and it's costly and it's emotional. For me, handing it off to a producer, and I mean, I wasn't even there when he cut the tracks. I got to walk in and hear them, with the exception of a couple. I had to let go of my own history and be okay with, oh, I'm not playing the bass on this. Of course, meanwhile, I'm working with Mike Elizondo, who's like the greatest bass player in the world. Why would I play bass on it? But the intent for me was to give myself this gift. And once I got over the fact that, yeah, you're not in every nook and cranny of this record. This record is built around your melody and your words and your voice. To me, I can't think of anything more amazing and more beautiful than this gift that I gave myself.
there's got to be a lot of trust involved though as well, right? When you hand over the demos or your
Yeah.
parts to somebody else, and obviously Mike, he played bass in your band, but there's a lot of trust in that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it goes deeper than Mike having played for me. I mean, I've known him since before his kids were born, so that's 24 years, maybe 25. I know him as a person. I also know his heart. And I also know what he's capable of. And, we talked a little bit now and again about what I envisioned, but really for the most part, I said, look, I don't know how to go in with these songs. They are deep and they are personal. But if you like them, would you just create something around them? And that's what I wanted. I wanted somebody to do something with the songs that I could not and probably would never do with them, by virtue of the fact that I just don't have the skill set that he has. And it was wonderful. It was awesome.
You collaborated with a lot of people through the years, and there's a
Mhm.
there's a long, long list. But people like Eric Clapton, Loretta Lynn, Johnny Cash, Chuck D, Stevie Nicks. Uh, I know there's one guest on Evolution I'm aware of, Tom Morello. Is there anybody else on there? And tell us how Tom got involved.
Yeah, actually. Well, evolution, it is about AI. It is, I think from reading the lyrics or listening to it, you get the idea of what it's asking. It's like the reality is that AI will eventually be everywhere, but the one thing that it cannot do is experience empathy. It cannot experience compassion, um, which is the saving grace, obviously. But other than that, it's so outside of our tiny brains to understand this cosmos that AI exists in, that when Mike mentioned getting Tom Morello to play, it just made sense. I mean, the guy he plays like somebody from outer space. He's so amazing. And not only have I known Tom for years, but we were both getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it just seemed like, oh, all these stars are lining up. This is perfect. The other person that is on this record, we just finished the track that this whole thing started out with, which was Digging in the Dirt by Peter Gabriel. And I asked him if he liked it, if he wanted to add in, and he just sent it to me a couple of days ago. So it will blow your mind when you hear it. It's so amazing. But anyway, it's going to be out also March 29th on the digital release.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. What a great song. And it must have been fabulous having him actually on it as well.
I mean, I hope he felt honored. I don't know. I mean, the song for me meant so much, especially in the last few years of really trying to explore why I'm made the way I am. I mean, we all go through this, right? Where we try to figure out how to navigate a world that's forever changing, that doesn't always make us feel good, and try to figure out how to not only embrace joy, but to actually own it and live it and experience it. And so yeah, I did a lot of digging, and that song meant a lot to me. And so when I told him I was going to do it, he seemed pretty excited about it. So
Super cool. I can't wait to hear it.
it's amazing.
I know that at the beginning of this project, it was just a song or two songs, and then perhaps an EP. When did you decide, well, there's enough here to just keep going and, put a whole collection together and release it in the traditional way, the OG way as an album?
Right. By the time we had an EP and I wanted to write a song about how much I hate my alarm clock. By the time I mean, that made it like 8 songs. Um,
You're like,
no, it made it
what the
9
hell?
songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was like, okay, I don't care if it's an album or not.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference really? So we just completed it, put Digging in the Dirt on it with Peter, and called it a day.
We have a lot of fun playing that one on the morning show, as you can imagine, especially if we play it at the top
I
of the
can't.
hour.
You guys definitely must experience that song, being radio people that get up at the crack of dawn. Yeah.
So the album comes out, and are you going to tour behind it? Are you going to go into the traditional cycle of putting out an album and then getting out there and supporting it?
We'll definitely go play. We're going to Europe first. We're doing some dates with Pink. It's really funny. I've told a lot of people this story, but no, I didn't run into him. I did a gig with Billy Joel and Lionel Richie, and Lionel, who I've known for quite a long time. He was talking about, we should go on the road. We all have these hits and we should take it out, go all over the world. And he said, we're so blessed we have hits. And he said, when you play new songs? And I said, no. And he goes, never. He goes, you never play new songs. They only want to hear the hits. And I literally was laughing while I was crying. I was like, oh my God, that's so true. We'll definitely go out. We'll try to slip in 3 or 4 new songs here and there. But, I know the reality of it. And I know the attention span, and that people do want to hear the hits, but we will definitely sneak in some songs.
Before I let you go, we did brush on it at the top of this interview, about how the industry has changed and how
Mhm.
part of the reason why you decided not to make albums anymore is that people don't listen to them unless they're real fans, perhaps. And I think for me, when the iPod arrived and everybody could just have their own jukebox, of course, with the iPhone and streaming now and everything, it's really a song at a time. But how do you feel about releasing an album into this, I guess, new music industry?
I mean, I have mixed emotions about it. The thing that I will not do is grow old and bitter. I can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I can't make people want to pay for music. I can't make people want to listen to a whole song. I can't change people's brain so that they can actually concentrate on anything longer than 6 seconds. Um, and so part of my journey is acceptance and grace. And do I love it? No, I don't. My kids say, Mom, you were born in the 1870s. Um, and I have the references of growing up when people didn't have phones to tell them how much they suck, or, I, but I'm not going to live in the past, and I want to put music out, and I have to be okay with nobody hearing it at all. And that's where I'm at. I don't know. I don't see any point in not doing it because it is the thing that I love. And so I'll continue to do it.
I had the good fortune to do some work a couple of years ago with Quincy Jones, and his famous saying is, if you worry about what other people are going to think about what you're making, God walks out of the room.
Oh, that's very good. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah.
I will credit Quincy though.
Yeah. I might not have it exactly, but that's pretty much it. And I think you got to make it for yourself at the end of the day, right?
That's right. That's right. That's what you got to do.
The new album is coming out March 29th. It's all about evolving and it's called Evolution. And Sheryl, it's so good to talk to you. Finally, thanks so much.
It's great to meet you. Yeah, hopefully, hey, we'll actually meet in person one of these days.